Hi everyone, this is Hope from Idaho. How are you today? I hope everyone is safe and sound during this terrible pandemic. Remember, we're all in this together. Before I begin, please make sure to click that subscribe button to help this channel grow, and make sure to leave a like as well. Thank you, and let's get started. As we know, many schools around the world had closed because of the pandemic. My school is one of them as well. I went to a private high school. I was an average student, I didn't have any boyfriends, and had made a decent amount of friends as well. At school, I'm perfectly happy. I was a popular student, and although I'm not smart, I passed with C's and D's. The only thing I hated was my parents' constant nagging at home. They didn't like how I was failing compared to my two sisters who got only A's. What they didn't understand was that I have a learning disability and I get stressed easily. Whenever I take a test, my brain just freezes up. When I tried to tell them, they said I was just being lazy and making up excuses. I never really got along with them. They didn't understand me and they never tried to get to know me better. As you can imagine, when I was home for the whole year when school was closed, our relationship only got worse. We were arguing every day when I wasn't attending online classes. They expect me to always be either studying or doing my homework. I usually do, and in my free time I paint, which is my true passion. Well, to them, it was a waste of time and money. See, my parents are both doctors, with my older sisters on the same path to become one. It seemed in my family I was the black sheep. They would ridicule and usually disregard me. It made me sad and depressed to be isolated in my own household. With no friends to talk to and being in lockdown in the same house, my anxiety and depression only got worse. In my paintings, it was the only way I can outlet my emotions, was also dark and full of anger. I secretly painted in my bedroom when everyone was asleep and then sold it online. I was actually surprised a decent amount of people started to follow my Instagram account. I even sold most of my paintings on there as well. It was the only way I was able to feel happy, and I was saving to move out as well from that toxic environment. I just had one more year before graduating high school, and then I'll sign myself up for an art school and pay for it with the money I earn because my parents don't support it. In their world, being an artist meant being on the street starving. When our high school offered to those who had taken the vaccine to go back to school instead of online learning, I jumped on the offer very quickly. My parents were advocating for me not to go back. They thought the risk of catching the virus was high, and it was selfish of me for going, yet I went anyways. I was one of the 50 students that volunteered to willingly go back to school. In my school, we were allowed to not wear masks if we wanted to, and I chose to purely because most of my classes had less than 5 people, and it was really spread out as well. I was determined to not only do well in school, but excel to the best of my abilities to be praised by my parents. Now, even though my parents and I don't get along, it doesn't mean I still want them to acknowledge me. I still crave their love, as sad as that sounded. It hurts to see how they treated my 2 older sisters compared to me. They would get praises and love, while I got nothing because I wasn't smart. I studied my butt off in all my classes. My hardest class was Mr. Dirty. He's the math teacher, and he's actually the only class where it's just me and him. He also taught online, but it was after our one-on-one class. In the beginning, it was rather awkward being the only student, but I felt like it was for the best. I would be getting help I needed. I was really bad at math, and although Mr. Dirty was tough, I thought I was generally getting the hang of things. Compared to my other classes where I was finally getting a B+, my math grade was still a D-. So when I took my first math test for the year, I thought I did well. I got a lot of practice, and I even went home to study. I looked up practice quizzes online and even used YouTube. I really wanted my parents to be proud of me that year before I went to pursue art as my career. I wanted just that look, just one look before I graduate. The proudness in their eyes they only gave my sisters. When I got my grade back and I got a 40 on it, I ended up breaking down and crying right there. I think I had an anxiety attack, but I wasn't too sure. I just knew the piled up stress and frustration came crashing down. I didn't know how long I was crying or what happened during my episode. When I came to, I was in Mr. Dirty's lap. He was cradling me in his lap. When I stopped crying, I stared up at him. His eyes were filled with worry and concern. "What's the matter, Hope?" All of a sudden, I started to squirm. I felt so embarrassed why I started crying in the first place. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to cry, Mr. Dirty. I'm just under a lot of stress and I really did study. I'm just stupid. I'm not going to go far in life and—" "Hey," he cut me off, screaming. "Don't ever talk down about yourself again. You are beautiful, smart, and creative in your own way. You understand me, Hope?" "I'm sorry," I said, swallowing. I stared down at my math test and whimpered again. The thought of being another disappointment made my stomach churn, and I wanted to disappear. "It's just, I did try my best." He goes quiet for a moment and then tilted his head to the side. I swore that day changed everything for us. He goes quiet and swallowed nervously. How much do you want to pass? More than anything else, I replied eagerly. I would do anything. Are you sure? I nodded. And before I could figure out what he meant, his lips were on mine. I had no idea how it happened. One minute I was crying, and the next minute I was kissing my teacher. During the time that we were together, we actually got to learn a lot about one another. I actually even ended up falling for him. We decided to keep our relationship a secret until graduation, where I would introduce him to my parents. I felt like he understood me. No one ever understood me before the way he could. Not to mention, when he saw me painting one day while I was in a free period, he was shell-shocked. As it turned out, he owned several of my paintings I sold online. It became the happiest year of my life. During graduation, I ended up getting B's in all my classes, with an A in math thanks to the things I did with Mr. Dirty. I was so happy. I went home to show them my report card. I thought I could finally get them to look at me with pride and a smile. Instead, they said, why were they all not A's? They didn't come to my graduation either. I graduated with no family members watching what was supposed to be one of the most important days of my life. It became so toxic and bad that I actually had to check myself into a hospital due to their treatment. When I came out after 2 months, I was surprised to see Mr. Dirty. He was sporting a black eye, and when I asked what happened, he said he went to my parents and punched my dad. What? I exclaimed, shocked. Why? He called you a starving artist with no future, that you were going to be a leech to anyone who ends up falling for you, he said, shaking his head. Hope, no one is allowed to talk to my girl like that. And then he kissed me. It's been 1 year now, and I finally decided my parents' validation should not affect me. It still stings to think about how they will never approve or look proud of me compared to my 2 sisters. But I'm learning to be okay with it. Mr. Dirty, or should I say Kyle, became my boyfriend shortly after. He's been very supportive of my art journey. There are days where I don't want to crawl out of bed because I don't feel important or validated enough in life. I'm so thankful that we found each other. Although we started off rocky, I ended up falling in love with him. He's my biggest supporter in my art career and really did push me to where I am now. I'm currently a freshman at an art institution and living with Kyle. I may not be making 6 figures like everyone else in my family, but my paintings so make a difference in the world. Thousands of supporters have come in saying how much my paintings have helped them in their time of need. I'm happy because I accept that I am enough. I am happy with my career and my passion. And I hope one day my parents will as well. So let me ask you, the audience, a question. If anyone out there has unsupportive parents who disapprove of your hobbies or job, what do you do? Again, please make sure to subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment as well before you go. As always, make sure to stay safe, and I hope you have a great day.